Good afternoon, everybody. Jumping on Metalhead here. Hope you're all going well. It's day number 27 of Vlogust. So, almost there. August is almost done, and this challenge is going to get wrapped up in the next few days. I'm going to talk about extreme points of the world that I've been to in my 37 years of life. Now, the most southern point of the world I've ever visited would have to be Reykjavik in Iceland. Went there 5 years ago. I know that Norway and Sweden are further a bit north than Iceland if you look on the map. But then again, Reykjavik's the world's most northern capital. The most southern point in the world I've been to would have to either be Melbourne, Australia, or Wellington, New Zealand. I went to Wellington, New Zealand when I was a young boy, but I never went to the South Island. And literally, I've also never been to the southern part of South America. So, for now, it's either Melbourne or Wellington is the most southern point in the world. Now, in terms of, latitude, longitude, literally, I have actually flown through every time zone in the world. But I've travelled the time zone lengths from Vlogust all the way to London by surface. So that's about, 10, 12-ish time zones, I guess. Hell, I even remember Vlogust has probably the same time zone as maybe Sydney or Brisbane or Northern Territory. When it comes to, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, equator, I drove past the Tropic of Capricorn in Namibia and South Africa last year, which literally the bus didn't stop to get out and take photographs. I just recorded me on the bus driving past Tropic of Capricorn and said, "Everybody, that's the Tropic of Capricorn right there." I had pinpointed this on Google Maps, and I was using a South African SIM card, which was still working in Namibia, surprisingly. I stood on the equator in Macapá, Brazil 4 years ago, and it was the first time I'd been back to the Southern Hemisphere in 3-ish years. I've never been on the Tropic of Cancer. I mean, the closest way I could get to the Tropic of Cancer would have to be if I went to Dakar in Morocco, and I drove down through Mauritania, because that's where the Tropic of Cancer is. I believe you can also find the Tropic of Cancer in UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia, even Egypt. Yes. So, now, I can't really say nobody really knows what is the center of the Earth, I guess. But let's just say I'm really proud that I live in London and I live near the Prime Meridian line. So I didn't know a thing about Prime Meridian, which separates east and west. So there's a nice park in Greenwich where the line goes down through the park and you see the Royal Observatory. That's quite an interesting line to cross because it goes down through part of England. It goes through France, Algeria, the Sahara, and then literally the last country that it goes through was, I believe, Ghana. So that's I wouldn't really say that's center of the Earth, I guess, but it's kind of where east meets west. Crossing continents by land, I took a boat from Europe to Africa many years ago, from Tarifa in Spain to Tangier. I've travelled across the Bosphorus Bridge in Istanbul between Europe and Asia. I crossed from Asia to Europe in Russia on the Trans-Siberian. I'm yet to cross from Asia to Africa yet, but there's a possibility of going to Jordan and taking the ferry across. But literally, in Egypt, the Sinai Peninsula is actually considered part of Asia, and then the rest of Egypt is Africa. There is a way to travel between North and South America, because there is a gap in the Pan American Highway between Panama and Colombia, the Darien Gap. But if you just sail between the two, without flying, you can literally say like you've crossed, between continents. Hell, in Iceland, there's even a place where you can go diving and you can actually see where the Americas and the Europe's plate meet. So that's quite an interesting thing. But I've never really been interested in geoplates and all that stuff, and I've been lucky not to have been in an earthquake in my life, even though my mom experienced some earthquakes when she was in New Zealand many years ago. Anyway, I'm off traveling. Martin Metalhead, over and out.